5 big questions facing the Alberta Progressive Conservative Party.
I'm David Terrace, and I teach at Mount Royal University, and I'm lucky enough to be engaged with young people all the time. I've taught political communication for many years, both at the undergraduate and graduate levels. I've been a parliamentary intern. I've followed politics all my life, and I've been a commentator. I think 3 things: survival, survival, survival. I think what we're seeing now is a time when all the chess pieces are moving in Alberta politics. And the 2 main parties are being destabilized by new parties. So the Tories are being destabilized by the Wild Rose Alliance, the Liberals being destabilized by a movement to create the Alberta Party. And so everything's moving, and there are no certainties. I think for the first time in 40 years, you can say that nothing is certain for the Tories or for political parties in Alberta. Again, all the major chess pieces are moving, and we don't know where they're going to end up, and we don't know where the electorate is going to end up. 40 years is a very long time, and I think there is an issue of loss of faith, exhaustion, the search for new ideas, the need for new faces, and the need to reach down to younger Albertans or reach across to different groups. So unless the party can do that, unless it can remake itself, re-energize itself, and re-image itself, there are no guarantees that it's going to survive these political wars. So I think there's issues of the credibility of the party in the eyes of Albertans and whether that credibility can be restored. Well, I think the problem is the storm on the right. The extent to which the Wild Rose has made huge advances has gotten a lot of former Tories into their camp. And that's a party that's just emerging. I mean, it's just, it's very young and has lots of ways to grow, but seems to be growing. And so do they move to the middle? Do they start taking the heart out of the Tory party? So I think politically, that's not only a fire, that's a firestorm. And almost all of the reactions of the Stelmach government have been, what do we do about the alliance? So the question is, if the alliance continues to grow, if it becomes threatening, and more money, more credibility, more names. I think Danielle Smith is an extraordinary speaker, has great poise, has an extraordinary command of policies, and is thinking through strategies, in a very smart way. So if she gains, it's at the expense, out of the pocket of the Tories. And, I think, for the last 40 years, there was only really one party wearing the blue uniform, wearing the blue jacket. Now there are 2. And so that's a whole revolution in Alberta politics. And the Tory vote can be eaten up in very decisive ways. They can be caught in 3-way splits. And again, there's this thunder on the right that they never had to contend with before, at least to the degree that it exists now. I think it's too early. There may be people that we're not thinking of. It may be people who balk at the last minute, and we're thinking of them coming in, but they don't. Well, I think one of the problems is the long wait. So Mr. Stelmach wants to continue as premier until September. It'll be a very long summer. So we're talking in February now. So it's March, April, May, June, July, August, September. This is a race that could go into October. So 8 months, 7 months, 6 months for a party to rip itself to shreds, to fight an internal civil war, and basically, not be able to make policies because you don't know who the leader is going to be. So whoever is elected may have a very different sense of what the budget should look like. So this is a party that is skating on an edge, and it's not. This is not going to be resolved quickly. It's going to be resolved over a long period of time, and that becomes dangerous. The problem for the race is that it's hard for candidates to strategize about when to come in. It's different if it's a 3-month race, So if it's a 6-month race, everything changes in terms of how you strategize. And there are people who are thinking of coming in from the outside. Certainly there's been rumors about Mr. Prentice, and he would be, if Jim Prentice decided to enter the race, I think it would be a coronation. I think he would come in on a white horse. I think the party would be delighted. I think he does have that credibility and that kind of royal jelly, and he would bring unity to the party. And I think he would be very tough to beat. And it's his for the taking now, anyways. The issues at the beginning of a race are often very different at the end of a race. And issues pop up and surprise you. There's a kind of jack-in-the-box issues, right, that you're not expecting. But I would say it's the financial health of Alberta. I think there are issues about government financing and the future that that the province has to make. I mean, the future of the Heritage Fund, for instance. The ability to, should we be borrowing? Should we be cutting? Should we be building? I mean, all of those are huge issues. And they're immediate issues, and there's no escape from those issues. And those decisions are very, very difficult. Politicians, of course, like to say that they're going to cut, but they all say they're going to cut. But when it comes to asking them what they're going to cut, that tends not to attract. I mean, they avoid those kinds of discussions. But healthcare, is now roughly 50% of the budget, and it is family doctors, it's emergency rooms, it's wait times. It's ability to get the system moving. We spend more on healthcare than any other province and get quite poor outcomes compared to other provinces and certainly other countries. And I think we can say that there has been a healthcare mess. People are very concerned. And, so finances and healthcare are inescapable parts of what any premier and any Tory leadership candidate has to deal with. I think it has to re-engage Albertans. So one of the great things about their process is the fact that it invites a lot of people back into the party. And, so the last race, brought, hundreds of thousands of people back into the party. And so there is a chance to re-engage with lots of Albertans, and they basically will have publicity, like an avalanche of publicity. And so they will be center stage for Albertans for months and months. And what Albertans, I think, want to see is a government that works and a party that works. And so if the leadership race goes well, if they run the leadership race well, I think that will show that the party does have credibility, that it can make the trains run on time. But if it becomes ugly, if it becomes nasty, if it becomes internal civil war, if the rules fall apart, if basically people see that the party can't govern, and that the ideas are old and people seem disconnected, or the candidates seem disconnected, it'll just be basically a giant ad for the death of a party.